We begin with breaking news out of Washington today. House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy withdraws his candidacy for Speaker of the House. McCarthy's move throws an already shaken Republican Party into chaos over its leadership. He told reporters he withdrew because of GOP divisions and a need for unity.
We're servants. We should put this conference first. And I think there's something to be said for us to unite. We probably need a fresh face.
McCarthy faced opposition from the Freedom Caucus, a conservative group in the Republican Party with about 30 members. It supports veteran Congressman Daniel Webster of Florida. Sunday, Congressman Jason Chaffetz announced he challenged McCarthy for the speakership. This is also a letter written by Congressman Walter Jones of North Carolina to the Republican Conference chairman that's stirring up a lot of speculation. And joining us now with more is CBN's chief political correspondent, David Brody. David, there's a lot of speculation swirling around this letter from Congressman Jones. What's happening?
Well, there's quite a bit happening, and let's just back up for a moment, take the aerial view, if you will. This seems, Ephraim, to be a drip, drip, drip scenario. I don't think we have not heard the last of what has happened behind closed doors on Capitol Hill and beyond. Walter Jones, conservative congressman, North Carolina, who has come out, well, I should say yesterday, he sent a letter to Cathy McMorris Rodgers, who's one of the leadership positions here in Washington, who basically said, look, if there is anybody running for Speaker of the House that has had any sort of, and here's the quote, misdeeds in the past, they need to basically come clean and admit them. That's all we know. We're efforting to get Walter Jones here soon on the phone to clarify what he meant exactly. He has been asked a little bit about this so far, and he's not saying anything other than that statement. And so we'll wait and see. But look, I think there is some speculation out there as to what this might be beyond potentially some of the votes that Kevin McCarthy clearly didn't seem to have.
Mm-hmm. Now, the House Freedom Caucus had announced they were going to endorse Webster instead of McCarthy. How big of an impact do you think that may have had?
Well, it was a huge impact. You know, the House Freedom Caucus, 40 members strong. Now, remember, there's over 200 plus GOP members in the House. But these 40 specifically, when they vote as a bloc, can make things very difficult for Kevin McCarthy or, quite frankly, anybody else. And that's what they were intending to do. They had lined up behind Daniel Webster, a conservative Florida congressman, and definitely to the right of Kevin McCarthy. And so clearly there were some issues as it related to Kevin McCarthy actually getting the votes to become Speaker of the House. And I think the last thing any politician wants is egg on their face. And it seemed like Kevin McCarthy may have been heading in that direction, though I'm not convinced that's the full story. Remember, Ephraim, here, and this is an important point to remember, late this morning when Kevin McCarthy was walking into this meeting where they were going to have this caucus vote on who was going to be the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy was all smiles and said, everything looks good. Paraphrasing, but that was his persona, if you will, going into the meeting. And then just an hour and a half later, things drastically changed.
Yeah, wearing his game face, perhaps. Well, we know. What does this announcement tell you about the state of affairs for House Republicans?
That they're in disarray. And it's true. And it's been going on for a couple of years now. You know, ever since those Tea Party Republicans came in, those constitutional conservatives, because that's what they'll call themselves, they don't like to have that moniker, the Tea Party, anymore. They call themselves constitutional conservatives. Ever since they came in back in 2010, remember the big wave election, they've been raising a ruckus and they've been tilting the House rightward. I mean, look at the presidential race right now. We have Rand Paul and Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio. Many folks that got their start in the Tea Party, they're now dominating the conversation. Well, maybe not Donald Trump, but those three for sure are dominating the conversation. And so what we're seeing in the House of Representatives is definitely a shift to the right. It's what forced Speaker Boehner out. It was part of the reason, at least, that got Kevin McCarthy here. And I don't think we've seen the last of this.
I tell you, Paul Ryan does not want the postman. What do you think this is saying? Let me start here. McCarthy was the leading candidate. It's not clear if there are any other contenders. Jason Chaffetz and Daniel Webster, can they win? Who is going to lead? It's just up in the air.
Well, it's totally up in the air. I mean, Jason Chaffetz believes he has the best shot here. Now, let's remember a little bit about Daniel Webster, a Florida congressman, definitely conservative, but quite frankly, if you talk to some of his constituents, he's probably about 80 to 85% there as it relates to conservative principled matters and the actual checklist. He's not this 100% rock-rib conservative necessarily, even though the House Freedom Caucus likes him a lot. His constituents might feel a little bit differently. Having said that, Jason Chaffetz has been around for a while. He is good in front of the cameras. The media likes him a lot and respects him, and that's part of the game. The reality is that is part of the game. And so I think it's Chaffetz and Webster, and I think we're going to see a couple more names. You know, some of the names getting mentioned, I kid you not, Ephraim, Newt Gingrich is being mentioned. It's like, wait a minute, someone wake Newt up off the couch. I thought he was hosting Crossfire or something like that. Look, I mean, this is how desperate it's getting for Republicans. They're trying to figure out the way forward. It's going to be interesting to watch. Let's pop some popcorn.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you, David. Just leave us scratching our heads for sure. Thanks. And for more on this developing story, including an interview with Congressman Walter Jones, go to our website, itscbnnews.com.